Right. All right. Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard call. Sometimes if we start early, we get folks coming in the door late, and it's hard to know quite when to start. I see
Oh, no, totally.
attendees coming in now. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get started here shortly.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming today. So Wayne, we got a couple people coming in.
Yep, we do. We're filling up, actually. It's looking good. So we'll just give it a few minutes before we get started. Welcome, everyone. Still rolling in the door, and I see some folks already watching on Facebook. So we will get started shortly. While everybody's settling in, we'll go over this again, but you can hover over your screen. If you're in the Zoom session, you'll get a few buttons that allow you to chat or do a Q&A or raise your hand. And you can post things in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure they get answered. And Zach, just really quick for the chat function, I want to just make sure that you're chatting with everyone and not just with me.
Oh,
because you have a couple options there.
Hosts and panelists? Everyone.
Everyone, yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh.
we had to manage for that earlier today. I kept reposting everything that Olivia had chatted just to me, and I didn't want to interrupt her because she had such a great flow, and I just kept cutting and pasting to everyone. Yeah. But it worked out really well. Worked out
good.
Well. Yeah.
Good. Well, okay, so people can see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yeah. You'd think after a year of doing Zoom meetings, we would be masters, but.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of bells and whistles. I'll just say that. So
yes.
We're doing okay.
Good. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. I really appreciate you making time to come by.
So it's a couple of minutes after. I'll just do a quick preamble, and then you can take it away, Zach. Thank you, everyone, for joining. This is part of the City of Portland Fix Affairs. They're usually wintertime resource events, talk about insulating your house, weatherizing your house like we are talking about today, and things like home repair, repairing your personal goods, but also personal health and finances, and all sorts of great stuff. And this is our online offering from partners you'd usually see presenting at the Fix Affairs. We've taken it all online to keep everybody safe and healthy. And this is the second season of it. My name is Wing. I work with the City of Portland to co-coordinate the Fix Affairs. And, I think that we have a good number of the attendees of the registrants here, Zach. So I would welcome you to take it away.
Great. I can see we got a couple of people. So let's start. Wing, thanks so much for setting this up. Hi, everyone. My name is Zach Sermach. I work for Community Energy Project, as you can see here. So I'm sitting in the side corner of my screen so that you can see this, and I'll have some props too, so maybe I can hold them right here. But let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. I think I have access to that. Perfect. Let me see. Share. Great. I hope y'all can see that. Wing, can we see that all right?
Yeah, it looks great to me.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I want to keep my intro short so that we can just get through the material and then on to the next steps, and then I can get y'all out of here so you can go on with your day. But my name's Zach, and then this workshop is going to be about 40 minutes of material. I encourage you to ask any questions. We have I think, as Wing said, we have the chat available. So please just type in the chat. We'll be watching that. I want this to be more interactive, feel more interactive, right? We got someone, what time of year could I cover my foundation vents on my house? That's a really good question, Kurt. And I'll try to address it. If not, I might have to get back to you. But yeah, perfect. We got the chat function and the question function. But let's get started. So it looks like y'all know how to use use Zoom. So you just use the chat box there or the Q&A. Just a little bit of background, and then I do want to get into I'll give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. But, Community Energy Project is a nonprofit. I help coordinate the weatherization program. We have many programs. We get most of our funding from the city, right? So the city of Portland Housing Bureau, we get funding from the county, Multnomah County, Energy Trust of Oregon. Then we actually serve families out in East County and the city of Gresham. So I'm going to show this chart again. You do not have to memorize this, but what we try to serve families that are income qualified. So this is kind of the 2021 income qualifications. It's based on household size and how much money you make. If you don't qualify, that's totally okay. I don't want you to just, sign off and say, I don't need this information. If you don't qualify, I can still pass this list on to you. And have this posted so you know where to get these materials. You can find them at a local hardware store, or Walmart or Home Depot, Dollar Tree even. And this is kind of what the stuff that we'll talk about. But yeah, we give out these free kits if you are income qualified. So and there's some great tools for your home. So just a background about CEP, then about Community Energy Project, and then I'll kind of get started into the material for today. But we're a great organization. We have the 2 arms. So I'm on the education team. There's a lot. We run other workshops like this one about solar, about lead safety. This one is going to be about home weatherization especially for this winter. And then our other team does direct in-home services, a wonderful group of technicians and auditors and home energy solutions people that can come directly to your home for free. So both opportunities, and you can find more on our website, which I can share, or maybe Wing, if you could do that too. Just our website has all of our services, but I can share that later. So today we're going to talk about how to heat your home more efficiently, how to save money doing it, how to stay more comfortable for this winter using your appliances, your lights, your thermostat more efficiently, and then how to stop cold air from coming into your home, especially this winter, by these terms at the bottom, as you can see, draft stopping and weatherizing. And then we'll do the information. You can ask questions throughout. Absolutely. I want to, encourage the interactiveness. And then I'll share with the people who have attended today, I'll share with you a form that you can fill out. And then you would fill that form out. You've attended the workshop, and then you could come to our office and pick up a free kit. We're here on Burnside, so handing out kits all winter long to people who qualify. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Wing, for sharing that in the chat. Okay, so let's get into this. Just a quick preface before I start. I'm going to say a lot of things today, a lot of information. So please do not feel like you have to remember everything or memorize all of this. The point of it is that these strategies will help you save money and save energy in your home. There's going to be some one-time fixes, maybe some maintenance stuff, and then some of the stuff you might already know. So, I just encourage you to take what you need and leave the rest. But there might be some stuff that you don't know, which is my goal, to have some, everyone come away with something from this. Why we talk about weatherization, you may have heard this term or not, but very important, is to protect your home from the elements, especially cold weather leading into this winter. We have a bunch of strategies that can help you save money and do this more efficiently in your home. Before we talk about some of the strategies, right there, the main idea is where do we get electricity from in Oregon? Because you turn on your lights, you turn on your heater, that is electricity. Oregon we're very lucky to say we have a cleaner energy system than most states because of all of our hydropower. But there is still some fossil fuels in our electricity mix, like coal and natural gas, which is not great, but it is getting cleaner and cleaner every day with more solar, more wind, and more projects like that don't pollute the air. So very lucky to be in Oregon, and it's getting cleaner to use our electricity. Where in our homes do we use the most electricity? You may know this, you may not, but heating our spaces, our living spaces, I don't have AC, so I'm not spending any money cooling my living space in the summer, which was difficult this summer. But definitely in the winter, we spend the most money heating our homes and our apartments. Next highest cost is heating our water. Because it's just, we're doing this, throughout all the time. These other costs here on the side, on the other side of the chart, lighting and refrigerators, and cooking and clothes dryers, like we don't use those all the time. So that's why, but the heating we're using frequently. So that's why it's the biggest cost, and it's a bigger system to use. So I said some of the stuff might be simple, so don't laugh at me, but an important reminder is just to warm your body before you heat your space. So wearing warm clothing. I'm sleeping in sweaters and actually slept in a beanie last night just to save some money and get comfortable. But doesn't make sense to try to heat your home to 80, 85 degrees and just walk around in a t-shirt in the winter. So simple habits can keep us comfortable and save money. So just a reminder. We're going to talk about two types of home heating that are very common here in Oregon, here in Portland. People have central heaters and people have zonal. So I have both in my small little apartment that I live in. Some people just have zonal, some just have central. So we're going to talk about both just to capture all of the interests of those watching here. So a basic rundown of your central heating system. Your home may not be this big. My apartment is definitely not. But the idea is that the cold air in your house is being sucked out through these orange cold air returns. It's being brought in or sucked into the furnace, right? That air is being heated up and then sent back into your home through these purple vents and ducts. This home has two of those, but I only have one. You probably only have one, depending on the size of your home. But so that's kind of how the system works. That system, as you probably know, is controlled by your thermostat. Why we talk about your thermostat is so that you can use it a little more strategically, as opposed to turning your thermostat all the way off and then all the way up, which is dangerous and inefficient. We recommend, and there's a lot of science that supports this, that just keeping it between 68 and 60 is a very smooth way of running your furnace, and keeps your home somewhat comfortable. Maybe 68 and 60 are too low for you, so we're not encouraging you to make yourself uncomfortable, but just something to think about. That 68 and 60 is kind of recommended to run your furnace. Central furnaces need to be tuned, just like your car needs to change its oil. Sometimes it is free, sometimes it costs money, but definitely on a yearly basis, just to make sure that your furnace is accurate. And depends on your type of your furnace, and who your provider is. I'm gonna, just a reminder, if you have any questions through the material, I'm gonna stop in just a couple of slides for like a halfway point. But just a reminder, you can type in the chat or in the Q&A if you have any questions. Just a reminder about your filters. Probably recommended to change them about every 4 months, depending on the thickness of your filters, but about every 4 months, maybe if you have a 3 or 4 inch thick filter. A good test with your filters is to see if you can just see light coming through them. Right. If they start to get dirty, you want to change them. This varies if you have pets or, a lot of dust in your home. There are reusable filters. So if you don't want to keep throwing things out, you want to be a little bit more eco-friendly. You can find reusable filters at Walmart or Home Depot that last about 5 years, probably maybe even longer. And they just have instructions on how to clean them yourself at home, as opposed to throwing them out. Last couple points about the central system. This is the cold air return. We all see these in our homes where air is being sucked in through here. You just want to make sure that this doesn't have dust, isn't blocked by furniture, so that the furnace is just pulling clean air very efficiently. It doesn't have to work too hard to get air from your home into the system. And then on the other end of this system is your vents, where the hot air is coming into your home, making sure that furniture is not blocking this, making sure there's not dust or dirt on this, so that hot air is not pushing now dirty hot air into your home. So just a brief reminder on keeping these clean and open, so that air is going straight in and then straight out into your home. As you can see, there's a picture of these like deflectors. that you can throw over your vents if you want to put those in to direct the heat. Zonal heaters, very common here in the Northwest, right? I have some in my bedroom. I have a baseboard heater in my bedroom. We'll talk about a couple of different types and how to use them more efficiently. Difference between zonal heating and central, as you probably know, is you're just heating your room as opposed to your whole home. And most effective way to use these is to close the doors, close the windows, so that everything you are paying for when that heater is on or plugged in, if it's a portable one, it's just heating the space that it's intended to, not trying to heat the hallway or the rest of your home. A lot of zonal heaters have thermostats as well, and we recommend using the same kind of strategy, 68 and 60. You can also turn these off. It's less, it's not really a danger to have these on or off. They have their own settings to turn on when it gets too cold. It's like a safety switch. I think it's like 55 degrees. I'm not exactly sure for all of them, but so, not as much of a danger, but, using this thermostat is much more efficient than trying to turn it all the way up. It won't heat your home faster, and you'll just end up spending more money using more electricity than you need. So using those strategically. Your heaters, you want to make sure that they're clean as well, so they work efficiently and that they're safe to use. So if there's dust and stuff inside them, you can vacuum them, and then making sure that curtains aren't covering this, so that heat is just coming straight out of there into your home, into your room. Portable space heaters are great if there's energy efficient ones that just really don't use as much electricity as like an older version of these, but you just want to make sure that you're using them in the right space. So maybe a bathroom or heating you while you're watching a movie sitting on your couch, but doesn't make sense to use these to try to heat a very large space or your whole home. And then just a reminder, you want to plug these in directly to the wall so that they're not, they use a lot of electricity anyways, so an extension cord is not safe to plug these into. You want to go straight into your wall. The second highest cost in our homes is most likely our water heater. These big machines, but they are, whether it's gas or electric, they work the same way, and it's pretty simple in that they just pull cold water into this tank, and they heat it up to the temperature that is set on your thermostat. And then you pull out that hot water to your sink or your shower. What we advise is checking your water temperature, doing a water temperature test on your water heater. If you're, how this test is quite simple. You just turn on hot water with a cup, being careful, obviously, and using a thermometer, checking the temperature of your water. If it is above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, you are probably spending more money than you need to. 120 degrees kills bacteria in the tank. It's much safer for children and elderly when they're doing dishes. I know for me, I moved in my home, I would do dishes and my hands would burn. So I told my roommate, we have to change this. So you would just, electric is a little bit more difficult. You have to unscrew the panels and then adjust the thermostat setting with the screwdriver. You'd have to turn off the breaker before you do this, just for safety reasons. A gas water heater is way easier. You would just turn the knob from whatever it's set at down to 120. Then you would test the water about 4 hours later. So you would do this test again. It takes about 4 hours for the water to settle to that new temperature. And then you would test again to see if you got it. So a great way, a one-time fix to just save money, because you're not paying to use electricity or turn on the gas to heat the water as frequently or as high. So it's absolutely a good energy saving technique. There is also in your free kit that you will get pipe insulation. These can go around your water pipes that go to your tank. They're good for both hot and cold water pipes. A lot of people have water heaters in their garage, and that is very what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable to the weather elements, right? So it's very good to insulate these pipes, hot and cold, and we have zip ties in the free kits as well. 2 more slides here on this part, and then I want to be mindful of time, but we'll go to part 2, and then we'll stop after that. But so just 2 more slides on part 1 is not everyone knows this, but electronics will still use electricity even if they're off. So we absolutely recommend using a smart power or a power strip. It may sound simple, but as opposed to unplugging everything every day, or when you stop using something, just having a little button and having everything plugged into that power strip can save, definitely add up and save you some money. Not everything can be unplugged. Obviously, you don't want to put your refrigerator on a power strip that might turn off. But definitely some of your electronics, TVs, chargers, microwaves can go in there. And then last point about saving money with your electronics and lights, right, is LED light bulbs in the kit. There's 5 of these. They save about $10 per bulb per year. So really amazing efficiency and conservation strategy. It's a new wave. You've probably heard of these LED lights. They last years longer and they cost way less to use. So you can install these in your home. Okay, I want to do a moment for review, a moment for questions. Okay, we got some questions from Kurt here. Cool. How often should I drain my water heater? What time of day, year to waste the least heated water? Kurt, that is a great question, and you caught me off guard when I should have been doing my research. So I don't have an answer for you, just to be quite honest. I'm going to have to look that up, and I'll get back to you. I was actually it's in my notes to research draining water heaters because I saw something out there. I've heard about every year, but I don't want to misspeak. I don't want to misspeak. So I'll have to look that up. It's a great question. Let me see here. Is it possible that my gas heater doesn't have temp measures? Mine just says ABC very hot. Yeah, that's very possible. It's a great question. I would recommend still doing the test and seeing where it's at. And then maybe it might be that you would have to go down one letter and then test again. So definitely but I have heard of that. I saw videos, and I'm going to post, I can post some videos in the chat too for y'all about how to change the water temperature heat. And I've seen that on there. My plumber says we don't need to drain our gas water heater. There you go. That's a good point. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe it's a cleaner, it's a more updated version of your water heater. I know that sometimes sediment gets into the water heater, and that's why they recommend draining it. There might be some sediments that get in there. But yeah, great questions. I do have some links that I can post in the chat at the end here too. Let me make sure I just get those up before we keep going. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, and I'll post those in the chat. What time of year should I cover my foundation vents on my house? I don't know the answer to that either. I'm really sorry. That's a more specific building types question, and I haven't done a bunch of technician work around homes, so I'm going to look that up too. Foundation vents, and then draining water heater. Cool. Sorry, y'all. I'm bringing y'all to this workshop and not answering questions. I'm so sorry. I know LEDs are supposed to last years, but if they're burning out much sooner than that, is there something else going on? Wow, that's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that either. It could be something with your wiring. Yeah, LEDs are supposed to last years. That's more of an electrician or a more technical question. I don't know that one. That's a really good question though, because of course they are supposed to last longer. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, I think we can still see my screen. Perfect. Okay. I want to get to part 2, and then I do want to post in the chat a form for those that are here, and then you can start filling this out as we go. Let me just you probably can see my whole screen now, so that's fantastic. But let me here we go. Yeah, this is a participation form, y'all. So why what I do, I give presentations weekly to community members who can attend, and the kind of end product is that if you qualify, you get a free kit of materials. So this is what this form looks like. I'm going to post this in the chat right now for everyone. This form, if you can fill this out while I'm talking, or save it for later. If you fill that out, you attend the workshop, you get a free kit of weatherization materials, and it's the stuff that we're talking about in this presentation, and we're going to talk about a couple more of them as well. So some other tools in the kit help, like I said in the beginning, stop cold air from coming into your home and stop hot air from leaving. I appreciate all the questions, by the way, y'all. Sorry that I can't answer all of them. But please feel free to ask more questions as we keep going. But I'm going to keep going to part 2, probably another 10-15 minutes, and then we can find and answer any questions before y'all leave. LED, I just want to make sure I get the LED lights point as well. Cool. Okay, so part 2 of this workshop is about draft stopping or air sealing. There's a couple of different words, weatherizing, a couple of different words to use this, but basically keeping warm air in your home. You're paying to heat your home. You want that air to stay there, so you don't have to keep paying, right? And then also there's a comfort aspect of cold air. I know there's one window in my home that I don't sit next to because it makes my whole couch cold. So, trying to deal with that, we have some tools for that. So in the kit that we're going to talk about, there's some window coverings and some other really great materials that you would get for free if you just fill out that form and then, come pick up the kit. So why we talk about this is this may be obvious, but hot air rises and it will leave your home if there are holes and cracks and gaps in your home. So a lot of places where this occurs is like lighting fixtures or between your ceiling and your walls. Your windows are absolutely culprits, or exhaust fans if they're not, or if they're not sealed properly. So definitely want to keep that hot air in your home. It's called home tightening. So tightening your home so that there's no gaps. One of the tools that's in the kit are outlet gaskets. You would just take off the faceplate of your outlets and your light switches, and there's this special foam that can go in between the wall and your faceplate. We have 6 of those in the kit, and then there's 6 also for your light switches. I recommend starting with exterior walls, where it goes wall, and then outside, maybe interior walls don't make as much sense. But if you need extra, if you have a lot of outlets, they're only like 3 cents each at Home Depot, probably other hardware stores as well. This is not in the kit, but backer rod, it's just very good for bigger gaps in your home or cracks that you can find, because there's different sizes of this thick foam. It's very affordable. You can find it at Dollar Tree. If you don't want to go to the store, you can use plastic and just kind of twist plastic bags. I know we have a bunch of these just sitting around probably, or other types of foam. You just don't want to use cloth to fill these holes on your walls and ceilings or windows, because if it gets wet, then it can harbor mold. So something that is not going to gather water or moisture. So foam, plastic, very good strategies. Caulking, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. Your windows are basically like holes in your home. If you can think about it, that sounds crazy, but especially older homes. My apartment that I live in is an old brick apartment, multifamily apartment complex, right? There's single pane windows. It's basically very cold, right? Basically a hole. So sealing these windows is a great strategy. And we have some rope caulk in the kit for free. It's just, as you can see a picture in this picture, like a circle of clay that you can peel off and then place around your window. It's removable. So in the summer, you can take this off and open your window again, but it's great for sealing some of those cracks and holes around your home. You want it to be dry. You don't want this to get wet. So, maybe you have to wipe the area down before you put this on. We do mention permanent caulk, even though it's not in the kit, but you can find this at a hardware store for pretty affordable, a couple of dollars. You don't have to buy a gigantic tube like this, but this is good for things that aren't going to move. So once you put this on, it's not coming off, right? So it's good for glass and cracks, or maybe cracks in the frame, things that are not going to move, not like the rope caulk, which can come off and then you can move that. We're about to talk about the window coverings, which there are 4 inside this free kit. These big plastic window coverings, they're amazing. This is a picture of one on the left, but just quick considerations is, if you're, this may sound funny, but this is very real, is that your, pets, if they want to scratch this plastic and rip it, or other things might rip this, it won't be effective. The whole point of this is to seal a pocket of air between the glass and the plastic. Also, if there is moisture on your window, this could cause mold, because you won't be, you don't want this to gather water over time, over the winter. So having a dry window, this is going inside, because, and this may be obvious, but this is an adhesive system, right? It glues onto around your window. If you were to put it outside and it started to rain, it would fall off. The adhesive needs to be dry, and then it can stay on for years. It can stay on about 3 to 5 years. I have clients calling us just needing more plastic, because the tracks, which we're going to talk about in a moment, are still up, years later. So really effective system that families come back to Community Energy Project year after year, because it really works. So some tools, simple tools you'll need: just a hammer, a scissors or a knife, and then some adhesive remover. There's this adhesive remover called Goo Gone that can work really well if you need to remove the tracks. Like I said, it can last about 3 to 5 years if you just put it on the right way. So you want it to just be dry and clean before you put the adhesive on. The first step, I have a little prop, okay, but maybe the pictures are better for you, or easier for you. But you would just measure the bottom layer of this window covering system are the tracks. Okay, and they would go around your entire window, and the channels are towards the glass, and then there's this flat part that goes away from the glass. So you would, attach this around your window. Obviously, this is a small version, but this is a picture of my boss putting this on. It's very adhesive, so once it goes on, it is going to stay on there. You would then, there's different ways to put it on your window. So some people put it inside their window frame. Some people put it on their wall, if their window is like submerged inside the wall, and then other people will, it just depends on your window. There's 4, so maybe you have different types of windows at your house, or around the window frame. So as you can see, the tracks are like at a different angle. So just depends on your window how you want to put this. Like I said just a few moments ago, you want to seal a pocket of air. About the plastic will go about 2 to 3 inches away from the glass, and you want these corners to seal a pocket of air in between there. So they have to be touching, absolutely. If you do make mistakes, you can use that adhesive remover. We just recommend soaking the tracks that you've attached to your window for about 30 to 40 minutes, because we have had people call and say that when they were taking off these tracks, paint came off. So they're very strong, right? They can last 3 to 5 years, but if you do need to remove it, you want to take care of that. But so now that you have measured out and placed attached the tracks around the entire window, you're going to measure out the plastic. These plastic, there's 3 of them that are about 50 by 80 inches. So they can cover a pretty large window. And then there's one that's 72 by 82 inches. So big, a big piece of plastic. You want it to go over the entire window. And then you're going to snap in with the locks into those channels that I was showing you earlier. It helps to have 2 people, but you're just gonna get the, I don't know if the prop is helping at all. I'm trying to do it myself here, but yeah, you're just going to snap the plastic along with the locks, and you would do this going down the window too. So as you can see, the tracks kind of come up, and then you would just place them in. This is where a hammer comes in, because obviously my prop is just good for the hands, but you would want probably a hammer or something heavy to go, otherwise your fingers would get tired. So pulling those all the way down, you're just pulling the plastic across from side to side, and then snapping in the locks. Then doing the bottom, locking, so it's all the way around the window, and you have this now plastic covering your window. If you have extra plastic, you can cut it off. You may be thinking, what am I supposed to do with my blinds? So, like I said, some people place this plastic covering inside their window frame if there's like enough space between the glass. And then you can just use your blinds for the whole winter. That's a little challenging. I've seen my actually previous staff people try to do inside the frame. It's a little difficult. For me, I put it over my blinds, and some people will just cut a hole in the plastic you can see in this picture on the right, there's tape on both sides of the plastic. You just snip a little hole and feed the blind strings but through that hole. And then you would seal the corner back up on those tracks again. So, and then you can use your blinds, right? So different ways to do it. We hope this doesn't stop you from putting this up, because they work very, very well to keep heat in your home. And then, like I said, they stay for about 3 to 5 years. So, this is a picture of someone just rolling it up in the summertime, leaving it there, and then, rolling it back down in the wintertime. Almost done here. We just got a couple more slides. Appreciate you all sticking with me here. Yeah, definitely any other questions we can answer, we'll answer in just now or in a moment. But last couple points about this window. Like I was telling you that there's 4 in the kit. Some people tape them together if they have like a really big living room window or a larger patio door. But these can cover your patio doors too. We just recommend not locking the bottom strip there, just in case of emergency and you need to exit your home. So using books or blankets to keep the plastic down as opposed to locking it. Just like windows, doors leak a lot of air. So we have tools in the kit for free that seal the space between your door and the door frame, which is where a lot of air will usually come in and out. I have a nifty little prop door here. Let's see if this works. So the picture on the left is called V-Seal, and that goes inside the frame of your door. As you can see, this is kind of what it looks like when it's attached. You will just attach it to the inside of your door, and when the door closes, it just kind of closes on top of that seal, closing the space, right? If you can see light through your door, there's probably air coming in and out. So that's around the frame. I'm going to talk about the bottom of the door in just a moment. These are little kind of snippets of what these are. That's the V-Seal. This is the one, the V-Seal, right? It looks like a V when you fold it. And then there's also foam tape, which you may or may have not seen before, but they come in the kit. They come in, much bigger versions so that you can put it around your doors and your windows even to just, it's called weather stripping or air sealing, home tightening, right? So just filling those spaces so that air is not going in and out. I'm going to pull up my fun little prop door again, just to talk about the last piece of the kit is the door sweep at the bottom here. You can just put this up on the bottom of your door. We recommend taping it first just to measure. You want the door sweep to just rest right on the top of your floor, not necessarily dragging and wearing it down, but just kind of resting right on your floor there. And then you can nail it in if you want. I'm going to stop for a moment before I finish off with next steps. Does anyone have any questions about those tools I just talked about the door and the windows? You can type in the chat. You can ask in the Q&A. I'm going to put this form again, which I'm about to talk about in just a moment. I think people can see that, right? Wing, you can see that form in the chat?
Sure can.
Sweet. Thank you so much. Cool. We got a couple of attendees. Yeah. I'm going to talk about next steps. We can stop for questions in just a moment, or we can have time for Q&A at the end. But yeah, let's talk about mold just for safety reasons, and then I'll tell you next steps, and then we can close with Q&A. But why we talk about mold when we talk about weatherization is because all of these tools are meant to keep hot air in your home, right? So that means less airflow. And airflow is actually sometimes good because it dries moisture, and this will kind of prevent mold. But if there's moisture that's not being dried as frequently, it might cause mold. This is not a certainty, right? This might not happen at all to you, and most likely won't. But there is mold, so we want to just recommend looking for it. I had mold in my bathroom, right? My roommate and we had to clean it with some vinegar. So definitely some places where mold occurs is where there's standing water or leaking water. So bathrooms, maybe pipes or kitchens. So just keeping your eye out. If you do see mold, you want to clean it as soon as possible using vinegar or hydrogen peroxide, not bleach. If it's a lot of mold, you should absolutely reach out to a professional. If you're a renter, then your landlord is responsible for helping you live in a safe and clean and healthy mold-free home, right? Mold is not good to breathe in. If your landlord does not support you in that, you can absolutely reach out to one of our partners, Community Alliance of Tenants. They're a renters' rights hotline, and they can absolutely help you. They're a great partner here in Portland. I see someone posted in the chat. Why not bleach? Eric, I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a health reason. It's a health concern. I mean, in that some people are very sensitive to bleach. That is one answer that I know is correct. There may be other scientific answers about how bleach interacts with mold. I don't know that, but I definitely have heard from multiple people that bleach is not great to breathe in either for definitely some folks. So if you're thinking about the quality of the air you're breathing, maybe bleach is not as great. So I appreciate the question. Y'all are stumping me on a bunch of these. So I'm like, I don't know what I set myself up for. Wing did not warn me of all these awesome questions that I would have. So there you go. But yeah, thank you for the questions. Last steps, right? So we had, it looks like 10 people just on Zoom. I don't know how many people are attending on Facebook, but that form that I shared in the chat, that you just have to fill that out. You've now attended the workshop and filled out the form. You can get a free kit. I will have, let me post our website link again, just to our calendar. I know Wing put information to our website itself. Let me just post the calendar in the chat. This is to events that are coming up, right? So this is to our events that are coming up. You'll see my face, right? I run workshops on a weekly basis for the public. I also do workshops for our partners. Let me come back to this. To our partners, this is the chart for income qualifications based on household size and monthly income. If you don't qualify, like I said in the beginning of this workshop, I can still get you a list of materials and where to get them. This is what is in the kit. It's about 10 pounds. It's really not super heavy. I've had to transport them from our storage unit to our office to give them to families who come to our office. So they're really not very heavy. You can take this home and start pulling these materials out. That's what you just filled out the form. Questions, comments afterwards, you can also email Fix It Fair. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be checking those. If you can't fill out the form online, you can come to our office. I have paper forms. So you would just say, Zach, I was there at the Fix It Fair workshop. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. You don't have to say that, but you just have to fill out this paper form. Either way, just to make sure that you qualify for the kit. We're not verifying, checking this strictly. We're not going to go and, find you. If we're we ask for that just to meet our funding, our funding responsibilities. Our office is on 2705 East Burnside. So here in Central East Portland, there's a bus line, there's parking. So, we try to make this as easy as possible. I'm here basically every day, except Thanksgiving week. I'm going to see family. Some folks came in late. There's a recording. Great. Awesome. I see another question. Kurt, I run my furnace constantly all year round to filter the air through the filter. Do you recommend this? I know it consumes more energy, but to me, it's worth it. Kurt, that is a great question. It's interesting. That's why I love doing this job, because I can hear from real people dealing with real things. I would not recommend that, but I do understand the concern. Depending, air quality in Portland at different places is not always great. We do have a program this summer, which I would absolutely recommend to you. I'll probably be running those workshops unless maybe some of my coworkers are running our summer workshops, where you would get free air filters and box fans. And so I would absolutely recommend using some of those resources. But for the winter, I think your furnace is probably the best way to do that. There are also air purifiers. I know some of those can be expensive, but I want to look up, Kurt, you're giving me some great material here. Free programs for air ventilation and air purification. There must be some city or maybe county programs to get free materials, because this summer we gave out a bunch of air filters, but those would go in your furnace. So if there are other ways to do that, I'm sure. I'm thinking running the central fan without AC or heat wouldn't use much electricity. That's a good point. Yeah, there is a fan on there on the form to evaluate Claudia. Yeah, very nice. 5 is the best. Okay, so if you want to put closer to 5, that would be nice. Thank you for the question. But yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely. I wonder, Kurt, if that works, if you can just run the furnace fan while the thermostat is off. So maybe you're not necessarily heating. I don't know enough about all the different types of furnaces, but I do know they have a fan, right, that is pulling the cold air from your home. So maybe trying that. Yeah, let me running furnaces without. Yeah, good point. Really good question. Let me just put my last slide here, right? This is how you can get in contact with me. Let me put my our office, 2705 East Burnside, if you need, again. My contact number, at my office, you can absolutely call me. I want to just check to see if, I think a couple people were, let me stop my share here. I think a couple people were filling out the form as I was talking. Yeah, I got a couple people filling out the form. So I see your responses. Those of you who just filled out the form, you can come to our office at any time, right? Zach, ask someone whether running fan continuously when AC is on is a good plan. Is a good plan. Does it reduce actual AC demand for good circulation? Yeah, absolutely. No, I took a note of that one. Oh, are you talking the AC unit, Claudia, or are you talking about the furnace? Because both of them have fans, but I'm running the central fan without AC or heat wouldn't use as much electricity. Yeah, I have to look up if those are separate. I'm assuming they run on, they're not connected to the same power switch. Like I would assume that some furnaces have, or AC units have, just a fan option, like maybe an exhaust fan. Yeah, I have a combo furnace. Okay. Fan on auto with furnace and runs continuously with AC. Yep. I'll have to look into that. If there's a way, if there's specific models that separate those and they're not necessarily automatic. running furnace fan or AC fan without the rest of the unit? It's a really good question. Do we have any more comments or any other questions? I just am wondering if the heat load is reduced with continuous circulation during the summer. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what I have heard is that, moving the air around your home is a very important strategy, but it's more if you're moving the heat around your home, the most important is that heat is not coming in, right? So if your furnace is off or you're not, heating the air, but is hot air coming into your home. So we definitely have our summer workshops talk about when is it good to be having your windows open or maybe fans pulling in air into your home, as opposed to like keeping your windows closed. And that's obviously a separate topic than exfiltration, infiltration. Yeah, if heat load is reduced with continuous circulation during the summer. Yeah, that's okay. I thank you for giving me a little out here and realizing that you're way more of the expert on me than me on this. Heat load, yeah, reduction. I mean, I've heard those terms. I'm not super confident on giving you an answer, Claudia, honestly, about the unit that you have and how to run it most efficiently in order to save money based on that specific unit type. The techniques that I'm talking about and that I've learned about it, since working here for these last 2-3 months is just kind of some broad strokes, and then specifically around our tools that we have in the kit for free. That might be more of a technical question that I'm not super able to answer. So I'm so glad that this is being recorded, that everyone will know that I totally don't know the answer to this question. So that's awesome. That can help me weatherize my home. Yeah, absolutely. We do have a lot of resources for that. So let me put my email in the chat. Community Energy Project. And yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure that if this is more, question and answer. So if y'all want to leave, head home, head out of here, you are totally free to go. I know we are done with the material. Yeah, thank you for staying though this long. Please reach out to me to get a kit. Yeah, Claudia, that is my email, and I can send you resources, right? There's many other programs with the county. There's weatherization. Anna, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you staying. I hope that you got the link, because you are absolutely qualified, or able to get a kit if you qualify for free. I want you to be able to come over to the office and pick it up. But yeah, Claudia, that is my email. There's many organizations that can help in your home, including ours. We have that whole team. But yeah, Community Energy Project, Reach, some great stuff. Yeah, and I'll send you their information. Naya, Rebuilding Together, a lot of organizations, the county's weatherization program. So a lot of places to get support, including us. I hope that link worked for people that were able to get to that link. I'm going to post it one more time just so that everyone who was on the call can get to that Google form. So and I'll just share my screen really quickly to show you what it looks like when you get there. This is what that form looks like. Questions, right? It's in English and Spanish. You just have to answer a couple of questions. And it has our office information, the income limits, and you just fill that out and then come pick up the kit from us at the office. Wing, I feel like we are complete. Yeah, I mean, I know we probably have till 3, so I don't mind staying on, but our participants are free to head on out. I have no more information.
Yeah, that's great, Zach. I'm checking the Facebook feed. I don't see any questions in the comments there, but I cross-posted a lot of the links that you shared. So
Great.
you might get some hits from that as well.
Great.
Thanks for being here. It was a great presentation. Really appreciate it. I always love working with Community Energy Project. You do such great work.
Thank you. Yeah, y'all, you do too. It's been a pleasure to join. Love the online format. Thanks to you both. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Claudia.
thanks, Claudia.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, Zach, I'll drop you a line, email soon, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks again.
You're welcome. I'll see you next week. And
yep,
thank you.
Sure
thank you for this. This was awesome, and I'm so happy that so many people showed up. So it was,
yeah,
it was a pleasure.
It was great. Good
cool.
turnout. All right. Bye for now.
Bye, Wing. Thank you. See y'all. Bye, everyone.